Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bob Waldron, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at Hasegawa's 1/48 scale A-18E Super Hornet. Looks like an absolutely fantastic kit. It was new tooled in 2005, so just over 10 years old for a new tool, but it's made by Hasegawa, so it should fit together absolutely stunningly. So let's start by taking a look inside. Now with these kits, it is a good note to note that Hasegawa are quite notorious for taking a kit and just reboxing it over and over and over again. There's something like 20 different kits of this Super Hornet, so as much as you might see a different box art, it's still the same kit. Basically they've just thrown in some different decals. Now the price of this kit, it really does sort of vary depending on where you go and where you are in the world. So we'll say it's around about maybe the £50 mark, give or take, several notes in some cases. But here we have straight away, we've got the actual canopy section, which is normally pretty damn good coming from Hasegawa. So zooming right in, you can see that it's looking lovely, crystal clear, no sort of mole problems with this. We do have the usual seam line that does go right down the middle, but that is something we've come to sort of accept in modelling. We do have the front part of the canopy, which is just looking just nice and perfect, no real problems with that at all. So nice to see the canopy's all good. Then in the box we have one big bag with all the sprues in it. Right, so hopefully there hasn't been too much sort of the plastic parts rubbing against each other and making scratches and all those kind of things. Now this is going to be a pretty big kit with a lot of plastic for your money. Now what we have here to start off with is we've got all this lovely surface detail, which coming from Hasegawa, we are talking nice in scale recessed panel lines, recessed rivets. Everything is very crisp, very uniform, very consistent throughout. The surface is feeling nice and smooth, all good for taking whatever washes or spraying that you may want to do with it. On the underside we've also got a nice lovely bunch of detail all underneath here as well. Inside the wheel wells we've got loads of detail on the bottom area, maybe sort of going up the walls. It's a little bit bland, but maybe a bit of scratch building, or maybe find out further on in the kit that there is something for it. Instrument display panel looking nicely well detailed. Hopefully there'll be some decals for inside these instrument display panels. We also have our air intakes here, which sadly we've got ejector pin marks actually on the inside of the actual air intake, so you might want to be sort of sanding and filling these ejector pin marks. On the actual wheel well doors we've got some ejector pin marks in those sort of horrible places you don't really want to see them, so they are recessed, so you might be wanting to be going off and actually filling and sanding those back. Bit of a shame, but it is kind of a little bit typical of the time. 2005, this whole ejector pin marks on wheel well doors and stuff, it was sort of sadly kind of common, which, you know, the industry has sort of taken note of that since, and you know, that doesn't appear as a problem so much in, you know, sort of later kits now. Now what we've got here as well is two identical sprues, right? And in these identical sprues we have stuff like ejector seats, we have pilots, which we can see all sorts of detail going on with all sorts of pouches and stuff on the pilot itself. We have the pilot's head, which we've got all sorts of, you know, lovely detail on there. More detail with ejector seats, air intake fans. We've got our pylons here as well. They're looking quite good with the same sort of level of detail as the rest of the kit. We do have what looks like to be enough to have about 4 fuel tanks as well. We've got some arm detail going along here also, and then some little bits of detail here and there. Moving along, we do have this whole you've got the rear fuselage section, and then you've got the nose fuselage section, which can sort of make some fit problems when you make the whole structure kind of complex, but Hasegawa is good at being a good fit in that sense. And again, we've got that lovely surface detail running along our front nose section just there. Same with the opposite side. If we turn it over, we do have ejector pin marks, but I do believe, you know, we do have a separate tub. Yes, here it is, the tub for the cockpit, which there's a bunch of detail looking good inside there, and this is the 2-seater version. More pylons just here as well. We've got some sensors going on along here as well, so that's quite nice to see. Moving along, we've got all sorts of flaps, slats, stabilizers and tail sections and all these kind of things along here. Again, same level of detail all the way along. They are 2 separate halves, so, you know, that adds a little bit of filling and sanding, but, you know, they still look good. And then we have our landing gear, which is just here, which this is the side where the ejector pin marks are, and if we look a little bit closer, we do have ejector pin marks. Again, you know, same kind of thing, you know, 2005 and earlier, it was kind of the era of, you know, ejector pin marks on landing gear, wheel well doors, something to sort of take care of there. And there are a few to sort of sort out as we look through more of the landing gear, but still, you know, the landing gear is well detailed. Maybe a tiny bit of flash because it is from 2005, but, you know, it's very sort of minimal flash, so to speak, but apart from that, looking quite good. And moving along, we then have the wing section. Again, we've got some lovely detail, lovely recessed rivet detail going along there, and on the top side is also, you know, same lovely detail along there. So all in all, you know, looking to be a good kit. The one thing I have noticed that is missing is to have a whole bunch of lovely weapons, which is kind of sad. And you do need to be careful because I've got a few pieces that have already come off of the sprue, so make sure you check everything when you get it out of the bags. Then we have the decals, which the decals are made by Hasegawa, typical sort of decals from Hasegawa. You do normally need to use stuff like Mr. Mark softener and setter, the stronger sort of decaling solutions, but they tend to be okay if you get that right. We then have with the decals, if we sort of zoom you in, they look a bit matte. You do, hopefully, as you can see, get an absolute massive array of decals to really sort of do a really smart FA-18 Super Hornet. It's really going to be a nice showboat for your modelling shelf, if you ask me. It's going to look an absolute stunner. The only thing I would say with these decals is so much of it is decals, you know, all this black and all this yellow. You may want to sort of try and look into going off and maybe actually spraying your model black and the yellow bits maybe, or just go down there, just whack on a load of decals, because that is a lot of big decals to put down on a model, and it's going to take a lot of time and experience to put them down. But apart from that, you know, they would look really nice in the right hands. The instructions, typical instructions again, got a nice explanation of the actual aircraft. Moving through, starting off with the tub, bringing the front fuselage halves together. You know, it does seem to call out colours and markings quite nicely, which I do believe they use Mr. Hobby for their colour call outs. And it is just bringing the fuselage together, wings sections together. And then I do believe the problem fit that was with these kits was these sections just here where you've got the intake. They could be a bit of a problem, a bit of an eyesore with gappage in looking down the air intake. And then there's this section here, PC15. Sometimes there is a bit of a fit problem there, but I think with the Hasegawa kit you don't get that problem. And then moving along, we've got flaps and slats and all those lovely things. You can have them in all sorts of different positions to give your model that bit more sort of life. Obviously landing gear up or down, and then I mean it is showing some weapons. Did we have some weapons that I missed? Yes, there were some sidewinders and AMRAAMs with this. You get 2 AMRAAMs and 2 sidewinders, which isn't bad. But you may want to go off and get some more weapons to sort of beef it up a little bit more if you want to go down that route. You do get a ladder with this as well, which helps with the options, as well as having the canopy open. Because actually this is the single seat version, although they do seem to have a little bit of an option in there to make it like a 2-seater, but this is the single seat version. And then we've got the markings. As you can see, we've got all the colour call outs and what to paint here, and you know, looking pretty good. So all in all, I mean, you know, depending where you buy it from, it can be a bargain, or you know, you could be sort of ripped off a bit, but it's a fantastic fitting kit. You know, it's a lot of plastic for your money. It's of a really cool aircraft, which is going to look absolutely stunning when it is actually done. The only grumble with this kit is obviously you've got those ejector pin marks, which you can either ignore or fill and sand away, which can be a bit tricky because they are in detailed areas. Canopy's looking fantastic, surface detail looks fantastic. The decals, they do look fantastic, but they are, I would definitely say they're not for a beginner. You're going to have to be sort of like have some experience with decaling to sort of really sort of tackle them. And apart from that, it's definitely a big thumbs up for Hasegawa's FA-18E Super Hornet. So until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, and I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you.